Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 3rd of October, now it's 12 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late in the afternoon on my Patreon page, in which I will share additional news that will be reported by Russian media during the day. That's being said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. And according to reports from Russian media or Russian Defense Ministry, there is no significant changes on any of the sectors of the front line. It's mainly artillery duels between the sides, local scale reckoning force operations or local scale battles, and of course drone wars. I will just note that according to reports that we are receiving at least last several days, me personally, I get impression that Ukrainian side lost and are losing initiative, not just in the northern and central sectors of the front line, but also in the southern sectors of the front line, which is the main axis of this so-called Ukrainian counteroffensive, which is, in my understanding, has already ended terribly or catastrophically for Ukrainian armed forces. And of course, I'm talking about Kherson region, Kherson sector, Zaporozhye sector of the front line, and South Donetsk sector of the front line. And reports from Russian Defense Ministry, daily reports of Russian Defense Ministry about situation on the front line, at least partially confirms my reading of big picture, because in those reports we can clearly see that losses of Ukrainian armed forces in previous several days has decreased significantly in comparison to previous weeks. And yesterday, for example, the Russian Defense Ministry did report that as a result of clashes between the sides, Ukrainian forces lost about 400 military personnel, which is a huge number, of course. But if we are comparing to previous weeks, Ukrainian side was losing twice or 3 times more on daily basis. So this information, in my understanding, one more indicator that Ukrainian forces are losing initiative on the southern sectors of the front line, very same way that they lost initiative in the central and northern sectors. And at this point, if any one side will be able to conduct large-scale offensive operations, it's going to be Russian armed forces, it's going to be Russian side. And that's why in previous updates I was saying that basically I was highlighting my skepticism towards reports from different experts, different media, that Ukrainian side will still be able to pull off this second wave of counteroffensive. I don't think so. In my understanding, Ukrainian armed forces are on the verge of psychological breakdown, and this increase in instances when Ukrainian forces, Ukrainian military personnel, including entire units, by the way, are laying down arms and surrendering, can be interpreted as a good enough or fair enough indicator of this stage in Ukrainian army when they are on the verge of breakdown. So even though some experts will continue probably for some time to predict large-scale Ukrainian counteroffensive operations on this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia, I don't believe this, and in my understanding, only one side now, from now on, will conduct large-scale operations, and it's a Russian side. There will be no second wave of Ukrainian counteroffensive on Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors of the front line, and there will be no large-scale amphibious operation of Ukrainian militaries in Kherson sector of the front line or in direction of western coast of Crimea. And this is it when it comes to a short summary of the situation on the battlefield. Main thing that I want to note is that well, Russian side basically has initiative all along the front at this point. And before I continue with the additional news, and there is plenty of news, and I want to make this update as short as possible. So, well, I will just say in a minute that this project with several channels, including this one, exists solely thanks to support of members of our community, and I will be immensely grateful if you will also consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. That's been said, let's continue now with the additional news. And TASS news agency is reporting that, and I did translate this sentence here. So, investigative committee of Russia has brought charges in absentia against the head of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Kirill Budanov, and several other military leaders for drone attacks on Russian territory. They will be put on the wanted list. So, Russian side did promise that there will be actions taken against leaders of Ukrainian armed forces that are involved in terrorist attacks on Russian soil. And well, Russian side definitely is beginning to brought charges against those people, and eventually, by the way, Zelensky and few other political figures in Ukraine may escape justice, but I'm quite sure Budanov and some other similar type of mass murderers will eventually pay for all the evil that they did committed. Let's continue now. TASS news agency is also reporting that former Prime Minister of Ukraine, Nikolai Azarov, did made a statement that now approximately only 23 million citizens are living in Ukraine. Significant decrease, of course, in comparison to times before special military operation. And according to Azarov, only 3.5 million Ukrainians can be mobilized from these 23 million, and majority of these 3.5 million already have been mobilized, and the rest of them are working in strategic sectors and cannot be mobilized without basically distracting work of education, healthcare, energy sector, or other crucial directions. So basically we can say that Kyiv regime exhausted its capacities of mobilize people, and shortages in manpower will only increase from now on in this conflict on part of Ukrainian side. Quite interesting information, because after all, Nikolai Azarov was Prime Minister of Ukraine, and he should know more information about situation in Ukraine that many other people. So RT is also reporting that EU fails to unblock 5 billion aid package to Ukraine, and now Borrell, head of EU's diplomacy, and other bureaucrats in Brussels are working on another 5 billion aid package for Ukraine, but not for this year, but for next year. We clearly see significant change in last, let's say, week or two, significant change in attitude of Western states towards this conflict. First was US, when some funds for Kyiv regime was basically frozen, promised funds, and now we did see almost the same is happening in EU. More and more Western states basically are openly beginning to distance themselves from Ukrainian crisis and the Kyiv regime, and this trend will of course continue, and eventually, as I said many times before, Ukraine will be divided between its neighbors. Vast majority of Ukraine will end up under control, under full control of Russian side, and the western regions of Ukraine will end up under control of NATO member states. Of course, I'm talking about Poland, Hungary, Romania, and possibly Slovakia. We are beginning to see first contours of this inevitable development, in my understanding. Also, let's continue. TASS news agencies reporting that European Commission may unfreeze 13 billion euros for Hungary if Budapest will allow Brussels to transfer some 500 million euros to Kiev regime. Well, one may say in this struggle with Brussels, Budapest did come up victorious, at least for this moment, and Orban's government did manage to protect interests of Hungary citizens, and Hungary. But yet again, lately we did see quite strong statements from Hungary with additional demands towards, not just towards Brussels, but towards Kiev regime also. And it's quite possible that Budapest will say to Brussels, no, Budapest will not greenlight additional spendings for Kiev regime. Let's see how the situation develop. And yet again, by the way, information about financial aid to Zelensky and his associates. TASS news agency is reporting that, according to article in Wall Street Journal, Pentagon somehow find additional $5.2 billion to support Kiev regime, and these funds, according to US militaries, according to Pentagon, will last only 6 months. Maximum lasts for 6 months. Well, it's not about funds really. Washington can print as many billions as they like to support Zelensky and his associates, but we are seeing clear shift in the Western states towards entire this Ukrainian crisis, and that's the main news. And as time goes by, more and more Western capitals will openly distancing themselves from Ukraine. There will be more and more talks about necessity of peace talks and so on, but it will not happen in one day, of course. So for several months, Washington, Brussels, some other capitals in the Western world will of course continue to deliver additional weapons and money to Kiev regime, but eventually we all know how this whole story will end. They will blame Kiev regime for all the failures, and the criticism of Kiev will increase, not just in Western media, but also from leadership of Western world, and eventually they will prepare ground for Western occupation of Western regions of Ukraine. And they will come up with some humanitarian pretext, to do so. But anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Foreign Minister of Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, did comment on decisions of many EU member states to prohibit Russian citizens to travel in EU states on their own cars. Well, and Lavrov called these actions Nazism, which is probably true, by the way. They are acting this way based on nationalities of people, and if this is not Nazism, then what it is? You tell me. Unfortunately, Russophobia is in full force in the Western world at this point, and I don't even know how long it will take to rebuild the relationships between, not just between the states, by the way, but because a significant number of citizens of Western world is also under this Russophobic propaganda. I don't even know if how long it will take, or even if it will be possible to you know, bring to the senses these people in the Western states that hate Russians just because they are Russians. I mean, this is pure Nazism, by the way. That's it. Xenophobia and Nazism. Let's continue. And it's shame for Europe, really. I mean, how many times they have to go in this route of Nazism. After Second World War, to act this way, to discriminate people based off their nationality is, I mean, world is watching, by the way, and they're probably shocked, especially because very same Western states and their leaders are constantly talking about some human rights and freedoms. I mean, it's truly shame for Western world to degrade in such a scale. Unbelievable. And that's why many people in the West are not happy with the elites, and let's hope they will be able to influence somehow elites of the countries until it's not too late, because you know, things are not good, not looking good for Western world. Let's continue. RT is reporting that Germany promises to extend the EU into Russia. Well, this infamous foreign minister of Germany, Annalena Baerbock, come up with yet another very strange, let's say, statement, and she said that EU will extend from Lisbon to Lugansk. And Lugansk, of course, is part of Russia. It's the capital of New Russian region, Lugansk People's Republic. And, well, Germany's foreign minister to talk about Russian territories, well, that's something, isn't it? But yet again, I mean, at this point, you cannot take any statement from Annalena Baerbock or any other leader of modern Germany seriously. They are sick, by the way. These people are sick with Russophobia, and I'm afraid this disease is untreatable. They are Nazis, though. Annalena Baerbock, Scholz, and all the other so-called leaders of Germany, they are just Nazis, you know. They are Nazis, Nazi sympathizers, mass murderers, basically. That's what they are. And they are not even hiding no more this simple fact. That's it. And also RT is reporting that, well, probably all of you did see this meme that Elon Musk did tweeted, posted on X, which is Twitter, with Zelensky's face on some meme. After 5 minutes, that he did not ask for billions, and well, Zelensky is becoming laughingstock, by the way, even in the West. And as I said, by the way, Western elites and some part of Western society that are under propaganda of those so-called elites, it's one thing, but more and more people in the Western states are waking up to reality, and they see which side is on right side of history, and they are becoming more and more critical of actions of Western states when it comes to relationships with Russia. They becoming more and more critical of Kyiv regime, and Elon Musk is no exception. I mean, this person step by step, but definitely become a person that is openly opposing Zelensky and his associates, and also policies of the Western states. And this meme, this laugh at Zelensky just confirms this. And by the way, because of this trend, now we can clearly see why Russian side did not take out, for example, Zelensky. And this was right decision, because Zelensky is one of the main problems now for Ukraine. That's it, especially since he openly in public did clap to that neo-Nazi mass murderer in Canadian Parliament, when he knew perfectly well who that Nazi was and what he did. So yeah, Zelensky and his associates are becoming main problem and main danger for Ukraine at this point. Let's continue. And TASS news agency is reporting that Norway imposed additional sanctions on Russia. Norway basically joined 11th package of EU sanctions against Russia. No surprises here. Norway is of course acting on a regular basis as it told by true rulers of the Western world, and you know, it's unfortunate that states, almost all European states, one by one, did choose to destroy relationships with Russia that was built at least since the collapse of Soviet Union, and some even destroy relationships that they have with Russia during the Cold War era, like Finland, by the way. Anyway, or Switzerland, let's say. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian embassy in Slovakia did react on allegations that Russia was somehow involved in elections in Slovakia, in which opposition party did come up victorious, well, of course, Russian embassy denied these allegations. At this point, I don't think Russian embassies even have to react on this type of stuff, because anything is happening in the Western world that ruling class is not liking, it's always Russia's fault, by the way. It's always Russia's fault. And as I said, at some point, these degenerates in these so-called Western elites will probably come up with statements like it's cold, by the way, because it's Russia. It's raining because it's Russia. That's it, man. That's their level. That's the level of the so-called elites in the EU and the Western world in general. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that India demanded 40 personnel of Canada's embassy diplomatic mission in India to left country. Relationships between India and Canada are deteriorating extremely fast. Last several days after Prime Minister of Canada come up with allegations towards India's government of killing Indian citizen, not Indian, Canadian citizen that was leader of some separatist movement in India. Very difficult story. And by the way, I will of course believe India. I will never believe Trudeau, whatever he's saying, or his government. So in this regard, I think India is probably, by the way, India is on right side, but fact is that relationships between the states are deteriorating significantly, which is maybe a problem for US, because Washington did try and will probably try in the future also to distance India from BRICS, to distance India from Russia. But this type of developments when Western states are acting against India openly, will of course give India's government and India's leadership additional reasons why they should stay away from the Western world. And by the way, I remind you, I don't know who killed that person in Canada, that Canadian citizen, but according to reports that I see, he was one of the leaders of some separatist movements in India, and India was accusing him in terrorism. Also serious allegation. But whatever the case, instead of some investigation, combined investigation, or some diplomatic moves, Trudeau, for whatever reason, did chose to escalate with India, to blame India openly that he does kills people that they don't like. And of course, New Delhi is upset about it, because countries should not act this way. They should resolve any issues in a more calm manner, without escalating first. But Canada did made a choice to escalate with India, and I don't think it will end well for Canada. That's it, really. And TASS news agency is reporting that Lavrov, foreign minister of Russian Federation, also commented on some statements that officials in Yerevan, in Armenia, are making about Russia, about ODKB. ODKB is, by the way, military. I'm always forgetting short for ODKB in English. So CSTO, that's it, man. CSTO. And lately there was quite a few statements made in Yerevan by Armenian officials that they will leave CSTO organization, and there were many statements openly against Russian. And well, I said many times before that it's only a matter of time when Yerevan when Armenia, under leadership of puppets of Washington like Pashinyan and so on, will withdraw not just from ODKB or Eurasian Economical Union, but also Armenia, under leadership of these puppets, will definitely demand withdrawal of Russian military base from Armenia, and it's inevitable. And that's why I guess Moscow understands all this stuff perfectly well. And Lavrov was quite sarcastic, and he said that, you know what, it's Armenia's business. These people have been chosen by Society of Armenia, and let them do whatever they want to do. If they want to leave ODKB, okay, do it. So it's a frustration on part of Russia, but same time it seems like Russia is just fed up with these so-called elites in former Soviet republics that are always demanding from Russia, and same time playing on the side of Western world. So Moscow is fed up with this, and it seems like at this point Moscow didn't even care. Lavrov although mentioned that Russian side hopes relationships between the people that was established for hundreds and hundreds of years will continue to be in good terms. That's the main point at this stage, because relationships between leadership of Russia and Armenia current leadership of Armenia cannot be restored. Russian side cannot take seriously Pashinyan, by the way. It's just impossible. And also RIA Novosti is reporting that Azerbaijan yesterday did presented the plan of reintegration of Armenians of Karabakh to Azerbaijani society. There were several steps. This region, this Armenian enclave, will be governed by special representative of President of Armenia, President of Azerbaijan, and at least formally, Baku, capital of Azerbaijan, is promising all guarantees of security and rights, protection of rights of Armenians in Karabakh. But well, at this point, we have information that more than 100,000 Armenians already left Nagorno-Karabakh. So I don't think this reintegration will really take place, because I'm afraid vast majority of Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh will flee this region. They already did, and eventually maybe a few hundred or a maximum few thousand Armenians will probably remain in this region, which is tragedy, by the way, for Armenian society. But you know, questions should be asked to Pashinyan and his government. There was ways to protect Karabakh. Yerevan had such opportunities, but Pashinyan's government chose to do nothing, and that's a result of it. TASS news agency is also reporting that well, this is quite interesting story, by the way. Day before yesterday, Moldova's government come up with statements that they are no longer using Russian gas. They no longer gonna purchase Russian gas. They will buy gas from Europe or from some other sources cheaper than Russian gas, which is on its own crazy enough to say, by the way. There is no one has gas cheaper than Russia. But that's been said. Yesterday, Gazprom made statement that Moldova is continuing to purchase Russian gas as usual, and Gazprom is delivering Russian gas on daily basis without any changes. So, I mean, you tell me, man, what future Moldova has under leadership of such a clowns? Under leadership of such a clowns, man, that are coming up, man, with strong statements on significant topics, and they are just lying. It's just pure lies, man. That's it. Unbelievable, man. This Sandu is the president of Moldova, is, I mean, female version of Pashinyan. That's what she is, man. And she will destroy Moldova, man. And already, by the way, already in Gagauzia, and let me show you Moldova on the map, by the way. This is Moldova here. This area, in between Ukraine and Armenia, and we all know about Transnistria, which did declare independence from Moldova after Soviet Union collapsed. But in Moldova, there is also one autonomy. It's Gagauzia, that's the name of autonomy. And interesting fact, by the way, Gagauz people are only Turkic-speaking people that are Orthodox Christians. And Gagauz people, they are already thinking about independence also. And several days ago, I did read some statements from local Gagauz officials that if government of Moldova continue its provocative policies, then Gagauzia will be forced to declare independence or to seek more autonomy. And that's why I'm saying, by the way, I don't know what Moldovan society is thinking, but Sandu and her government, they are exact copies of Pashinyan and his government, and they will destroy Moldova. And well, let's hope citizens of Moldova do realize this and will try to influence somehow situation until it's too late. But anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that well, several news about economy, and RT is reporting that national debt of Russia reaches 16.7% of GDP. And I do know that many other countries, basically all the leading G7 countries, has like 10 times more, almost 10 times more national debt. But for Russia, 16.7% is quite high number. Quite high number. It's nothing special, nothing extraordinary, but not really nice news, not really good news. But after all, no surprises, because if you take in account immense pressure on Russia from Western so-called elites, it's quite understandable that Russian government needed to borrow some money to finance social programs, to finance government activity, and so on. But let's hope this trend will have no continuation in the next year, and Russian budget's income will stabilize on significantly high levels that it is now. And by the way, also RT is reporting that Russian industrial production fails fourth straight months now. And even though in years terms, industrial production numbers are higher than in previous year, but last 4 months are not showing good numbers, which is some troublesome development, really. But yet again, officials from Russian economical bloc of government did say that 2022, 2023 gonna be difficult years, 2024 also, but after that Russian economy will manage to deal more effectively with Western pressure, will reorient itself, will reorganize, and then Russian segments of economy will feel some relief. And I guess that's how it's gonna be. After all, I remind you that this year Russian economy's growth by GDP terms will reach 2.5-2.7%. So overall economy is doing okay, but these informations, by the way, are highlighting that even though economy is coping, there are some difficulties also. And this is also quite interesting news. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian ruble, once again, exchange rate of Russian ruble once again reach 100 mark when it comes to a dollar. Last several days ruble began to fall once again, and me personally not surprised at all. You know my take on exchange rate. I think if you take in account losses of Russian income in foreign currency because of these Western sanctions and because of destruction of trade with the Western states, I guess to compensate that, optimal exchange rate gonna be somewhere around 110, 120 rubles for a dollar, if not higher than that. But me, by the way, I'm not expert in economical stuff or finances, and I can be mistaken, but that's my understanding of my reading of situation, and that's why I'm not surprised that ruble did reach 100 point. I'm afraid before end of this year exchange rate will be 110, something like that, maybe more. But eventually, of course, market will regulate this situation, and Russian ruble will find a stable point when government would not be forced to intervene when market will regulate situation on its own. But this will be reached, in my understanding, when exchange rate will be 120, somewhere around 120, maybe a little more for a dollar. Before that, government probably will be forced to intervene time to time to stabilize Russian national currency. And this is it, by the way. This is it for today's update. I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please consider to click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. More likes and comments probably helps to reach wider audience to deal with this extremely aggressive YouTube algorithm. And for very same reason, if you can please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on any of the platforms that you are active on. And yes, this is it. Have a great day. Thank you for your attention and take care.